We are set. Welcome everyone to Web Design class, part of Northeastern District's online leadership academy. One of a kind, the first in the nation, from what I understand. And we are really blessed with a terrific class tonight with an excellent instructor. His name is Kyle Kitzmiller. He sings bass with a pretty good quartet, but we found out that this is what he does for a living, from working from home as a stay-at-home dad, raising his 2-year-old daughter. So welcome, Kyle, and welcome everyone. And it's all yours, Kyle.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I do work at home. I've been a web developer officially since like the fall of 2015, and I went full-time summer of 2016. And since then, I've just been sitting in a place very similar to this. And the last couple of years, I've had a little one running around. She likes to play the old McDonald song on her toys often. So I've just kind of learned to tune that out. So anyway, she may make noises throughout this, but we did close the door and my wife locked me in, but it's okay. If I use a credit card or something, I can unlock it. So it's one of those. But anyway, this is a class that I've not had the opportunity to teach before, but it's something I'm very passionate about. So I'm excited to put that together. And I think that almost half of the people that registered for this class were good about sending something about their current website situation and what they wanted to learn from this, and that helped shape the definition of where this class would go. And the way I decided to take it was, let me try and get to almost everything that came my direction. There are a couple things that might not fit exactly in the center of this, but if there are any questions, feel free, of course, to send me an email directly if I didn't cover one of your questions. But there are a couple people that sent very specific things that are a little outside of what we're going to talk about generally, and I'm happy to address those. And there are a couple that I already have planned to get responses sent back to you directly from the stuff you sent in the first place. So give me a couple days to do that, and if you don't hear something back from me and you have more questions, feel free to send it to me after probably Tuesday, and I'll be sure to get back to you. But most everybody, when they sent this, was how can we make our websites more interesting? How can we make it more appealing for people? And the word I kept coming back to in my head was compelling. And so what I wanted to do was compile what I knew, do some research, look up what compelling means and what that means in the web development world. Because what we do a lot of times is put some content out there and hope people like it. And I think that really what we've found in web development, especially in the last 5 years, basically since I started, was a lot of the success comes from basically, rather than putting out a bunch of info and hoping people find something, is telling them the things that you'd like them to be interested in. So you basically, rather than just put out a bunch of info, make a treasure map, make a story out of your website. So there are a lot of those kinds of things that we can look at, and there are plenty of things that you can just Google quickly and say, how do I build a story with my website, or how do I lead the visitors to do a certain action? And that's a big part of what we do with the most successful websites. So I'll go ahead and just dive into here and see how that can apply to us. Let me go ahead. So first of all, we're going to talk about what a compelling design is, then talk about just some other general design objectives, and then we're going to work together to look through some examples. I have 10 or 11 that we're just going to go through and talk about. So this is going to be a very open dialogue. This is going to be something to where I'm going to go ahead and present the points on each slide, and then after every slide, that's not just a title or a table of contents slide like this one. We're going to look at examples specifically talking about that objective. something that's okay but could be better, and something that's pretty darn good is kind of the way I've been trying to put this together. So on each of those pages, as soon as I'm pulling up examples, in my opinion, feel free to unmute. And of course, if somebody talks before you do, go ahead and let them finish their idea. But I think this is going to be a very back and forth discussion that we're going to have here. So, so starting with the compelling design, first thing I want to cover, what is the definition of the word compelling? And this came up as the Google definition. So this is not specifically from Webster, I don't think, but it might be. It says evoking interest, attention, or admiration in a powerfully irresistible way. So those are some strong words. Interest, attention, or admiration in an irresistible way. I can't keep myself away from the message that you're trying to deliver. So that's what we want to try and pull people through our website. We want to pull them through the messaging that's involved with that. So I want you to think about what websites you've seen that feel that way. What do you get pulled into? What information? So think about just websites you may have visited for business, for shopping, for barbershop, and think about things that get linked to off of social media. So if you're on Facebook and you see something like, I want to know more about that. What have you seen that makes you feel that way? News articles, right? Everything has to grab your attention, and we have to make sure that we're taking a piece of that as well. And then secondly, I want you to think about your website. What letter grade would you give it on compelling? This is a rhetorical question, but I want you to have that in the back of your mind as we go through this. How much are you pulling people through? How much are you telling them the things that you think are important and why they should care? Okay, so go ahead and think about that for just a second, and then we'll go ahead and move on. Compelling design, we're going to go ahead and give a table of contents of do's and don'ts. So things you want to do, share who we are. People want to know when they get there who you are. It's a very basic thing, and we're usually pretty good at that. Share what we do. I think that we think that what we do is implied in who we are a lot of times. If we say we're a barbershop chorus, that's great. But do you say we sing barbershop harmony? Maybe not. But go ahead and clearing that up is a great way to make that message clearer. Share why visitors should care. If you say we're a barbershop chorus, cool. I'm not a barbershopper, for instance, and I'm the visitor. Why should this matter to me? Give them reasons. Share what visitors can do and make your messaging imperative. Tell them what's on their website that they can do. They can interact and watch videos. They can listen to music. They could buy albums. They could buy tickets. They could visit, right? There are things that they can do in the short attention span that we have these days. We need to make sure that we can tell them what they can do and invite them to do so. Things you don't want to do. Make your content too wordy. We like to go ahead and make long descriptions of things a lot of times because we want to make sure all the information they could possibly need is out there, rather than curtailing that and saying what information is the most important for them to remember and just give them that. You know, pare it down to the most interesting stuff. Don't make people click to get the most interesting content. There was a little bit of a craze where they would have front pages and it would say enter. Okay, that's okay, but the more people research that, the less that people were engaged, because Google Analytics and other kinds of analysis they have out there would say that people would give up on a website if they have a page like that. Most don't have that, but if there's something that you want them to see, make sure it's easily available. Don't make your messaging informational. If they want to read a bio and you have it on a separate bio page, that's all right. They've already engaged to get there, rather than telling them we're a barbershop chorus, we're a men's chorus and we'd like you to be part of us, or we're a mixed chorus and we'd like to invite everybody. There's more. We'd love to have you here. Please come visit us. You know, make it more engaging like that. Try not to overwhelm visitors with too much content. A lot of times we'll put everything we can on the same front page, and that can get a little bit overwhelming. Okay, so those are the basic ideas. We're going to go into each one of them. All right, share who we are. As I said, normally this is a very Fairly easy item to emphasize. Who are we? That's pretty good. We typically want to communicate this effectively, but sometimes might make the write-up too long. Examples we have. These are both of my chorus. This is the previous website. Go ahead and look at that. Calling all men, ready to get singing again. Remember how much fun you had in singing in high school and college? Don't you miss singing and performing? You want to reignite that creative, artistic spark within you to get singing again. You know you do. Just click the link below and see how to join us and learn how to enhance your singing skills through what we call CCS University. That's a lot of information. That's long. And here's our bio. 5 paragraphs, depending on if this is really 2 paragraphs here. So that's a lot of info, okay? If we compare that to the new website that we're building, who we are. Why should I care? Because your voice matters. Okay, so we're having a lot shorter discussions. We're having a lot shorter things, and you could still get the same gist without all of that text, if that makes sense. As I said before, anytime we're on a website example and you want to jump in, feel free to do so. Okay, so that's the idea of who are you? Don't make it too wordy. You can tell that we're a performing organization because there's a bunch of people on a stage that are dressed alike, right? We say we're a chorus. Done. Big, obvious. So that's the idea with those. Secondly, share what we do. May do a decent job, but we also may gloss over it. As I said, sometimes we'll think that who we are answers the question of what we do. Even if the message is simple, defining barbershop vocal ensemble or similar, that will clear up question for your visitors. For example, AIC website. What? Do I need www?
I guess that's a don't too, huh?
Error 404.
There we go. This is also getting changed at the moment. What is the AIC? AIC is a group of champion quartets, right? Where does it say we are champion quartets? It has a couple videos. It has what seems like a poster that's hard to read. You can't read all of it without scrolling down. It does say this, but that's not obvious. So what we want to say is, who are we right here? What do we do right here at the front? And that's not here. Okay, so that's not a perfect example. Airbnb. What are we? Where are you going? Add dates. Who are your guests? Settle in somewhere new. This is what we do. Right? We have a lot more information. Interactive activities we can do together. Okay, so there's a lot more information about what it is that Airbnb does. Okay, share why visitors should care. We will build in why we care a lot of times, what matters to us as members, as the people building this site, but we don't necessarily focus on why other people, especially those that aren't like us. We sometimes will tailor the content of our website for other barbershoppers, and we should try and think a little broader than that. Don't expect the visitors to have any idea why they should care before visiting. Make it obvious. Examples: Southwestern District. All right. Local majority champions. Cool. And that's the end of the page. So what's cool about this website? Why should I stay on it? There's not a lot that's super obvious about this. Secondly, Cardinal District, my home district. All right, that's a little better. Barbershop Harmony, that seems cool. That little dance move, that little side move they had was pretty cool. Programs, good. And there's me right here. All right, so that's pretty cool. A long description, not bad, but a little long. All right, and then let's look at, what's the last one? Evernote. Why should I care? Accomplish more with better notes. Obvious. That's something that I, as a user, have been struggling with. This is something that I wish that I had that was better for me. This is going to solve that need. It tells me with the first most obvious thing, accomplish something. Accomplish something that you've been struggling with. Evernote helps you capture ideas and find them fast. Sign up for free. Okay. See that in those 4 lines, that gave me more information than either of the other 2 websites we looked at. It says, this is why I should care. Okay, I'm engaged now. What else do you have to show me? Right, and then you can go through and look at the rest of the website. Again, share what visitors can do, make your messaging imperative. Have actions that the users can take. Okay, make your messaging a command that I would like you to do something. So for instance, buy tickets is better than tickets. Tickets is passive. Buy tickets is you should engage in this. Now people can obviously make the choice to say no, but you should tell them that this is something they should do because it's awesome. Get more info is better than more. Okay, let's look at the Phoenix Symphony. All right. Tickets. Okay. Where does it tell me to get tickets? Plan your visit. That's a little more imperative. Okay. Giving, conversation, archives, TPS at home. All right. Learn more, listen, enjoy, watch. Those are commands. Those are better. So maybe these titles at the top could be more of why should I care? And then this tells me what to do. Okay, and we're at the bottom. So this is the whole front page. Another interesting idea is we're basically going to mostly look at the front pages because it says that anywhere between 8 and 15 seconds will be the attention span of your user on whether they want to engage in your website. So you want to pull them in at that point, and you want to make sure that the front page especially is good about that. So you want to find that messaging that goes, okay, this is why you should care. This is why you should be part of what we're doing. This is why you should engage with us. This is why you should buy our CDs, right? All that stuff is going to be built into the front page ideally. So look at the next one, Apple MacBooks. Let's look at the imperative messaging on this. And this is one of the best ones that I've seen, okay? Learn more about M1. What is M1? I don't know. I do know because my wife's buying a MacBook, but an M1 is a new processor they have, but they're building interest in that. Okay, MacBook Air, boom, boom, boom. Okay, cool. Buy, learn more, imperative language. Buy, learn more, same idea. Which MacBook is right for you? Compare. Buy, learn more. See gifts, learn more. See how it's a very, shop is not as strong of a command, but find your trade-in value, but see how everything is a request for you to be compelled to do something. That's the idea. Contact us. Update now, learn more. Like everything on this page, something this is called a call to action. I put later in the slide that it's a button. A lot of times it is, but this counts just as much. It's this is what you should do. Learn more about Safari. Learn more about Logic Pro. Remember how I said don't put too much on one page? They're getting awfully close because I'm only 3/4 of the way down the page and they've still got stuff. Now, Apple's a giant, so maybe they can get away with a little bit more, but I wouldn't say go more than about five sections if you can on your website and just make it great. So they have a lot of not contingency, fine print here, and that's fine. To put that at the bottom, that's probably something that their legal team said was a good idea to make sure all this stuff is included. And that's great, but they also put it at the bottom of the page where all of the interesting stuff, because not everybody's going to go to the bottom of the page. Obviously, right now what we're doing is we're looking through the whole page to see what is compelling and what isn't working on websites. So what we're going to do is definitely go through the whole thing. So there's that. I think that's the last of the do's. Yes. Any questions so far about any of those concepts? All right, great. You guys are actually on my other monitor over here, so if I'm looking over, I'm looking at you guys. So anyway, don't make your content too wordy. Assume visitors have a short attention span. As I said earlier, people have about 8 to 15 seconds to decide if they want to engage in your website at all. So pull their attention very quickly. If they have to read through a bunch of stuff that you've written, it's going to take them more than 8 to 15 seconds to read through that. Oh, here it is. Yeah. There you go. I pretty much said that without knowing I was going to do it. The Atlanta Vocal Project. Let's check that out. All right. Bunch of stuff here. Info, that's a long paragraph. No featured events. All right, fine. News. Yeah, there's one. Okay, cool. Something I can do. So that's all right. And then they've got their Facebook feed over here in the sidebar. That's decent, but that's a lot of words, not a lot of pictures. Looks like this is a video that you can play if you want. So you can at least listen to something. Same idea with this, but it's a little small. I would make that a little bigger. Obviously, you can do full screen yourself, but you know, I would maybe make that more featured, like from the S in news over to the exclamation point, like that wide, so that way it goes, this is something you should engage with. So that'd be something that I would suggest. Capital City Chorus. This is the Sweet Adelines Chorus in Indianapolis. This is all right. Nice big picture there. A bunch of good pictures. Right. Changing lives one performance at a time. Good tagline. Sassy, sensational, Sweet Adelines. That's a fun. It's a fun word. Fun title. So this is a little wordy here. A lot of stuff going on. Not that you shouldn't have that, but that should maybe go on a bio or an about us page. Maybe you say, we're a women's chorus singing a cappella without instruments, music in this barbershop style. Learn more, right? So give them that leader here, but then they can write up, or maybe this whole paragraph even. That's cool, but that's 2 sentences that they would have to read. And if they want to learn more, go ahead and give them the whole thing. It's like reading a news article. You've committed to the article at that point. You've committed to who they are, and you can read about us on another page. This here is a little wordy. So you might be able to say Capital City Chorus is going virtual. And then underneath that, have a subheading that says, every Thursday evening from 6:45 to 9, join us. Right? That's another thing that I didn't get necessarily in there. If interested, please email us. How many steps do you have to take to email somebody? Right? If you say join us and have a contact form, you can just give me your name and email and say, I'd love to be part of what you're doing. Right? So that's a call to action. That's an engagement right there that they could build upon. So this is inclusiveness messaging, and that's going to be much more specific on what the inclusion kind of thing wants to have there. And then here's your management team. This probably doesn't need to be on the front page. You should be able to find it, but shouldn't necessarily be on the front page, because like the About Us section, you probably want to engage in the whole website before you want to look for all that stuff. Costumes for sale. View more. See how this is a little much, and then they've got, looks like some updates here. And having some news updates is not bad, but maybe those could be a little more, because they're kind of skinny anyway. You could go 1, 2, 3 across the bottom maybe. So that's decent. And Credit Karma. How do we make it not too wordy? Credit scores should be free, and now they are. Check your scores. See my scores. Again, imperative language, a smarter way to find financial products. Compare personalized offers for credit cards, loans, and more without hurting your scores. It's all in Credit Karma. Get started. Boom, 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 boom. Monitoring. So this is what I was saying earlier. They've got what looks like a numbered list here as well to go with it. Title, description, or subtitle. Insights. Learn what affects your credit scores. Better decisions. So you kind of categorize those things, and kind of like you would a bulleted list, where if you indent one item to the more you indent, that's how you change, you know, the main point versus the sub point. And if you just use that kind of mentality with this, that's how that works. Follow the money. Is there any unclaimed money? Treat your data as if it was our own. Security, boom. Title, subtitle. Never hurts to check. Title, subtitle, call to action. And then your footer. Okay, so does that make sense to where if you just have a quick hit on what should matter and then a description on why that should matter for each one of those items, then you go, okay, I get it. I'm with you. And then if you want to do more, see my scores. That's the idea. Don't make people click to get the most interesting content. People scroll through a whole page, like even that Apple page. I'm more inclined to scroll just like a Facebook or Twitter feed. The more you go, you're like, I wonder what the next thing is. This will be interesting. I'll look at the next thing. But if you have to click on it and you're not sure you want to engage on it, you might just leave, or a visitor might just leave. But try not to do that. Vocal Spectrum. Here's their homepage. And that's it. There's no button here to say engage. So they're planning on me, the user, to go, okay, I want to see their shows, which we'll probably do. But on the home page, there's nothing else there for me to engage me. So this is not a great design. I would say, you know, enter or maybe Vocal Spectrum International Quartet Champs and say, see our show or come see us, buy our CDs, check out our media, contact us. Like just have a couple buttons below this, again, title, subtitle, right? That's a common thread that you'll see. So that part's good. The image is great. I like the color scheme and everything, but they need to have more, what should I do below it? Okay. And GoDaddy. What should I do? Find your perfect domain. Oh, I want to buy kylekitzmiller.com. Is that available? How quickly did I do that? Was it under 8 seconds? You're darn right it was. This could be the start of something big. Isn't that fun? And below that, look at how many things there are to choose from. Every section has, you know, this is kind of a pre-title, title, subtitle, call to action. That's going to happen on each one of these probably. Hosting, title, subtitle. So there's definitely a pattern, and they do this because it works. Some things will have multiple call to actions. The one that's more, the one they want you to do more is more highlighted. Get secure, check your security. You know, they're leading you to an SSL certificate protects the data. Yes, it does. All right, so how do I do that? Get secure, check your security. How are you doing right now? Let our experts build your site. Learn more website options. Okay, so learn more is imperative. It's command. More website options is declarative. It's a statement. See how, now that may have been on purpose because it's more important for them to have you learn more versus just look at options. So that may have been an intentional choice. So this is a frequently asked questions. Obviously, you need to be able to fully answer any question that's out there. So that's part of what's going on there. I don't know that I would have put this on the front page. You know, maybe I would have put see frequently asked questions or put a couple of these out here and see more, maybe, if I were to, but GoDaddy's big enough that they don't need a dad staying at home with a 2-year-old to give them information on how they should make their website better. So that's totally fine. But those are some suggestions. If somebody asks me, what would I say? Don't make your messaging informational. It needs to be imperative, as noted previously. So we looked at these examples earlier with the Phoenix Symphony and MacBooks. You know, compel people to do things on your site. Don't overwhelm visitors with too much content. Define your main objectives that you would like the visitors to do and highlight those. Move other items to other pages. So just like we talked about with the leadership page and with the About Us, you might give them a little leader to get their interest up, to make them want to go to those other pages, but don't necessarily focus on having that as the most obvious item, as something that can distract them from the main objective of the site. People then go to your website to find out who the secretary is. As much as the secretary might want that, they came there to figure out what music you make and how you can benefit them, right? So if you lead them toward album sales, ticket sales, or joining, those are going to be three big ones that almost every musical ensemble needs to make sure are a main point. So take your time to make sure that stuff is highlighted, and don't overload them with other stuff. Also keep the number of items in the main navigation to 6. So this is the top bar that you see on almost every website. If you have more than about 6 items up there, it gets a little too overwhelming. And you've probably heard that the number 7 is the max for short-term memory and memorizing things. And I think, if I remember correctly, that's also the reason that phone numbers are 7 digits. Now everyone uses area codes, but the phone numbers are 7 digits because it's easy to remember 7 numbers. Once you get to 8, it's a little tougher. So this is the same kind of idea. Keep the navigation to 6 items if you can. Let's look at the Ambassadors of Harmony. So this is a white section here with 4-time international chorus champions of the Barbershop Harmony Society. They're not really telling me why I should care yet. They're going to follow that up with a poster, it looks like, and some news feed things. So it looks like down here is some tweets. Okay, yeah, these are all tweets, and they have a lot of them. So this is a little too much. I would probably stop this at no more than 8 to 10, and then see more tweets. If people really want to go through the whole timeline, they can, but they're engaged in looking at those tweets first. Okay, they have some annual reports. They don't have any from 2018 or 19, so that's a little outdated. Having outdated information is generally not great. Subscribe to our mailing list. This is good. I like that. Like us. Tweet at us. That's good. And at the bottom, just some proud member of Barbershop Harmony Society and some social content. Up here, it looks like they had a picture behind it as well. But let's check out this main navigation up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 items. See how that feels a little overwhelming? Now they did break it up with having the logo in the middle here, but that's a lot of stuff going on. And how many of these things could be put somewhere else? Or how, like, do you need virtual Christmas as a main item? Or can you make that your main thing here? Ambassador of Harmony, 4-time international champions. See our online virtual Christmas show, right? That can be engaged in a different way from the front page. Or it could go under shows, so you want to feature some things, but there are different ways to do it. So if you want people to buy tickets, great. So another thing to look at here is how many of these things are imperative. Join us, that's good. Virtual Christmas is not, Buzz is not, About is not, Shows is not, Store, Support, Media, Youth, AOH, Blog, Contact. Contact technically kind of is, but Contact Us is better, and they have that down here anyway. So Join Us and Contact Us are the 2 things that they have on their page that are imperative that you see when you first load it. Okay. Virtual Christmas. What do I do? How do I engage with this? Where do I add this to my calendar? See, so obviously they're an international champion chorus, as you can see, 4 times, right? They're a great chorus, but some of their messaging could be a little bit more compelling to let me know what I should do to engage with their site and engage with them as an ensemble. Okay. I don't think I have a second item. Then other design objectives. Text needs to be easily readable. Images need to be high resolution. A lot of times we'll find some lower resolution pixelated stuff, and that kind of goes, that looks unfortunate. Use call to action buttons. I've talked about those. So the text needs to be easily readable. Make sure the font size and color are appropriate for the reader. Don't use anything smaller than 16 pixels for the main body text if you can. Make sure the text has plenty of space around it rather than up against the edge of its container. So you don't want, you can see how just on this right here, look how much space is between the left edge of the T and the title all the way over to the left side, right? That's a lot of space, and above and below it. A lot of space, so that way it's easy to read, okay? So let's look at the Men of Independence chapter. It's a lot of really small text up here. So this is pretty hard to read unless you're really leaning in to try and look at it. This right here is right up next to the edge of the red box. And you see when you hover over CS, you can hardly read that. So you want to have something a little bit more, a little bit better. Maybe keep it white, because that's easy. You can see you can read white against red here just fine, but it's hard to read this darkened blue against the red. Same with this one. And a lot of small text. So that's not generally great. This is kind of smashed up against these boxes here below. And it's kind of close together. The actual paragraph lines are pretty close together. So if they just put the same amount of space below it as they have above it under the logo, that would make it a little bit easier to read. And then probably give that much space underneath these three boxes, that little white box that they're all in, before it gets to be our guest chapter quartets and upcoming performances. So that's something that I would say about that particular site. And then let's compare that with Wysiwyg. This is a vocal a cappella ensemble from Great Britain. They came to Ball State University, where I went to college, and Theo's currently going there for his doctorate, and performed, and they were amazing. And their website is also quite great. So they've got a lot of info here, but look how much bigger this text is. Let's pull up the Men of Independence again. Let's compare this to this. All right, this is nice and easy to read, very easily. So nice walking picture, of course. And then read the full biography here, right? They gave you a lead in, right? It's still a little long, but they give you a reason to care about their biography, and then a way to link to the rest of it. Flagship ensemble for music education charity, the foundation, and it has a link, so you can go engage with that. And then of course the events get canceled. That we all have that right now. Then here we go. So this is the same kind of idea, where this has a picture to go with it, and then description, info, engagement, call to action. Description, info, call to action. They have, of course, their cookies item there. Next, concerts. These are a little long. I think that probably this is a mostly classical ensemble, and I think their audience probably has a little bit more patience to read through some of that stuff, to look for the specifics of who wrote it. Ken Burton, Taylor Scott Davis, Melissa Dunphy, that kind of stuff. I still might suggest shortening that a little bit, but look how easy everything is to read. It's so easy because everything's nice and big, and the contrast is nice. Okay. So that's that particular item. Images need to be high resolution. We can all take high resolution images on our smartphone. They look pretty darn good. We don't have to have a professional photographer to get some of that stuff. Even a little bit of pixelization will go, man, I don't know that I want to be on this website for too much longer. So let's check out the Masters of Harmony. I think they have 7 or 8 championships. Let's look at these images. These look pretty pixelated. Even up here, click here to register for a free virtual Christmas show. You can see that there's some gook around the stuff here, around the text. So that last one wasn't too bad. That last one's a pretty good picture. Still a little low res, but it's all right. And this one's really pixelated. I think that's from 2008, if I remember correctly. This is a little pixelated. This text is a little hard to read, the gold right on top of the blue. Yeah, here we go, they're 9-time champs. This video is good, I like that. See more videos on YouTube. It's a link, that's good. So the object of this particular one was looking at pixelization. So you want to use better high definition pictures than that if you can. Then look at Chanticleer. Chanticleer is another a cappella ensemble. So this is intentionally blurry as a photographic preference, but look at this picture of them hanging out. Look how high res that is. Let's compare that to Masters of Harmony. That's real pixelated, and that's clear as day. So same idea with how big is this text? It's not super big, not easy to read. So I would say something about that. But look at how clear these pictures are. This is an outdoor picture. I might have suggested, it looks like a phone picture in low lighting. So that's kind of what happens, but I would suggest a better picture for that. But this other picture they took of them taking a selfie, nice and great quality. And then I think the last item was the call to action buttons. Make it obvious what you want visitors to do with call to action button. Colored button with text is what I put there. And again, that doesn't have to be a colored button, but a lot of times they are. Westminster. Okay, so they have some accolades there for International Championship and Choir of the World. And no call to action buttons. Looks like these might be links. Looks like they are. Okay, that's good. But if they said see video on the bottom, then that would be or see videos for the whole page to come up. You know, they have all videos here, but look how passive that language is versus active. Who we are, okay, recordings, not purchase recordings, but just recordings. Support us, that's active, that's good. Media, latest updates, connect with us, right? So there are some more things in that realm as well. Then A2 hosting, this is who I go through for my own web hosting. So look at this, get your attention. Save now, save now, save now, save now, save now. Call to action. That's the button that they have. Okay, so information, learn more about each of these. I love WordPress. It's what I use for almost everything. Give us a call, chat with us, send an email, read reviews, things you can do. So here's a description of their different kind of hosting packages. Compare plans, right? It's not as highlighted as save now, but it's still a call to action. Register a domain, same as GoDaddy. You can just do it right here. It's great. Some reviews, shared WordPress, managed WordPress. Not active, it's okay, but you know, use shared WordPress or buy managed WordPress might be a better option. Get free SSDs, get PHP 7, get free SSL data centers. See our data centers, get free SSH. And here's what I was talking about. I think it was with one of the other hosting things where it had FAQs, and they had all that listed out. And I said, it might be great if they had a way where you could only see the question and then you can engage with it if you want to. And this does exactly that. So that's a good example of what I was referring to either. So it's a lot more of the same, but you can see how that works with the call to action buttons, asking them to specifically do something. Any questions up to this point on anything I've talked about?
Yeah, Kyle, there have been a couple things that have popped up in chat.
Sure.
Paul from the Worcester chapter in Massachusetts, he says he prefers to use clip art, cartoons, real photos, and video. Maybe too much information. A real photo or a video may be too much information? Question mark.
For use clip art, cartoon, real photo, and video. Is that what's my preference, or?
Well, I will add to that, Kyle, to say that as an aging chapter, we could scare our market away with actual videos and photos in a website versus clip art, cartoons, or you know, some generic barbershop stuff.
Okay.
How real should we be?
Well, obviously everyone knows their own chapter better than I do. I know what our chapter is, and I know there's only certain content that I want to put out there, but generally we should want to show off our best stuff. And if you just want to have pictures of you singing, then that's great. If you want to use other kinds of images, I think that's also fine. There's nothing saying that you have to use your specific stuff if that's not the particular thing that you want to put out there, but I would definitely use some sort of visual interest and some picture to show that, you know, if people are engaging with you and want to potentially join or sing with you, then what about who you are is going to show that off the best, and then use that to show it off.
Well, I think the corollary to that is, you know, don't try to fool them and bring them in and scare them with the reality, but then don't try to scare them away with reality so that they're never fooled enough to even come in to witness you, whether it's a ticket sale or a purchase of a item or
Sure.
a visit to the chapter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely going to be a choice of personal preference, and maybe that's something that you as a leadership team, a board, web design team, whatever that group that makes those decisions has, that's going to be something that you're going to want to definitely provide options to look through and then say, what do we think's best? This one says they meet. This is the first one that says they meet and has an email and phone number prominent. Jesse, do you know which website we were looking at that point? When you said, this is the first one that says when they meet and has an email and phone number.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was one of the Sweet Adeline's ones.
Okay, let me see if I can go back and try to remember which one that was. That might have been the,
No, it was before that.
Yeah, it was before that. Yeah, a lot before that.
oh man. Just trying to, probably this one.
No, yeah, there it is. So
Yeah.
right under the picture is right there. I mean,
Yes.
many of the sites you showed, again, I mean, there's different approaches. I understand
Yeah.
and I appreciate that. But to me, this is the join us. I mean, others may feel differently, but at least in our chorus, you know, we'd love to have more members. And I think virtually every chorus I've ever talked to wants to have more members. And
I can't think of many exceptions to that, no.
yeah, so I mean, to me, that's like, you don't want, I mean, I certainly agree with you about the scrolling, and there's a difference between, I mean, you're showing some, if you'll allow me to say, amateur sites versus some professional sites, okay? And I agree with you completely. I mean, if you're going to the GoDaddy site, then you're interested in certain things, and you're probably maybe I can use the word sophisticated or so in web stuff. But a lot of people, including people in my course who go to my own website, are very unsophisticated with using the web, and stuff has to be. You said, I was taking careful notes here. You said that you don't like to see more than 5 page scrolls, so to speak, is what you said. I would say 5 is a lot. That it's got to be, right there, bingo. As soon as they open the page, it's got to be right there.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I have a number of sites that I maintain and developed, and I mean, I'm agreeing very wholeheartedly with a lot of what you said, Kyle. Although I don't consider myself a designer, I'm more of a programmer.
Sure.
But certainly this one here, I think, was very good. I would have given that some kind of stronger treatment. Two things I want to say while I'm talking here. About pixelation. First of all, there's a lot of software out there that can remove pixelization. That's really pretty easy to work with. People should take a look at Fastone. Is one that I use a great deal for pictures. It has wonderful ability to, and it's not the only one. It's not an editing program, but it's a photo manipulation program, I would call it. That's one thing. The other thing is that I think one thing that people need to look at too is CSS, because just adding drop shadows to pictures gives them so much more of a professional look and feel. And also, when you roll over pictures to get them to glow if they're links, for example. I mean, these types of things are pretty straightforward to do. Again, if you're a programmer. If you're not a programmer, then it's a different story. If you're just working, and that's one of the things that I was asking Kyle. Maybe we'll get to it a little later, but again, since I program a lot, I do stuff from scratch. But a lot of what I do could be improved if I used more templates, and that's something that I'm thinking about. I'm looking into. I haven't used, I mean, I know a lot of people use WordPress. I understand that something like 40% of websites are WordPress. Something like that. I read one time. But anyway, comparing these different things, I like having the control, having to sometimes work around the limitations of WordPress and other things can be tricky. Anyway, I've talked enough, so I'll be quiet here.
Yeah, there was one email, and I bet it was you, that was asking a lot of CSS and hosting specific things and about the CMS, and that was the one that I have in mind that I definitely wanted to take some more time to have a specific response to. So if you sent me, if that was you, then I'm definitely going to get back to you. But if that wasn't you, then feel free to send me any of those questions that you have, and I'll be happy to.
No, that was probably me. And
okay.
And the last thing I'll say is I use A2 hosting too. I host 5 different sites on A2 hosting. They're just marvelous. They're just marvelous.
Okay, Rich Anderson has a question. Want to raise your hand? Go ahead and ask your question, Rich.
Kyle, I've always thought about this. What about a voiceover when you enter the site that says, "Welcome, we're the Sarasota Chorus of the Keys, and we're delighted that you chose to visit us today," or something like that? Do these things are voiceovers, especially an automatic voiceover? I don't see it on any sites. Has it been generally agreed that this is not a good idea, or what's your view?
I think something similar to this is if you have recordings of your ensemble and you just play them automatically. So you just have a player or something like that. It's not exactly the same because it's not a welcome in the same way, but I've heard a lot of people gripe about the fact that anything that auto plays gets on their nerves. That doesn't particularly bother me all that much, but I imagine that something like that, especially if they're in a quiet place, like let's say they're in a doctor's office and it starts speaking out, and they're looking on their phone and they have that kind of thing, they just hit the volume down button over and over, and that could be irritating, I suppose. But like I said, it's not one of the things that bothers me. But I think that's probably one of the things we have to keep in mind. If all we ever did was like it was 20 years ago, where everybody didn't have smartphones and they just looked at things on their PC, not even a laptop that sits in their office at all times, then I don't think that would be as big of a potential problem. But I think being in quiet spaces and surfing on your phone might potentially get in the way of that. So I like the
also
idea
at work, Kyle.
of the content you put in a voiceover, and maybe that would be something that you could make the first section is to have that content up there and welcoming them. And I think that might serve pretty much the same purpose.
You don't want to surprise them.
Yeah, I think if they get startled, they'll just hit back and then they'll be gone.
Yeah, and people also look at websites at work. So that's another reason not to do automatic voiceover. I mean, it's easy enough. It's easy enough to put a little play button there. You know, but yeah, that I mean, I'm one of the people who, if these things start popping up at me, I'm immediately off those sites.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah.
Well,
It's definitely a great idea. I just think it has some issues where it gets on people's nerves, unfortunately.
I think that answers it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, okay, here we go. From Paul. How about a lead line? Real men sing barbershop. Come sing with the men of song. Find us in Worcestershire, and a photo of how we looked 10 years ago. Well,
I did that just to see how you'd say Worcester. And
I did my best.
Fall right into the trap. No, my question has to do with, we're all male chorus, and so Real Men Sing Barbershop, graphics, baseball, football, hockey, big sports in the area, and then move down into the message of barbershop, a cappella, harmony, and chorus, and fellowship, and music gets us together. You know, it sounds a little odd. It's different than anything you presented so far. Do you think it has legs?
No, I think that's great. What the most important thing you want to do is engage them, grab their attention. So I think the line of "Come sing with the men of song," that's imperative. It's something they can do. I would like if you had something like that to lead somewhere, even if that was just down to the next section to give them the info, or like you'll see things that'll pop up say join our email list. Well, I don't want to join your email list. I might, but I haven't decided I want to. But if you say come sing with us, they might have come there for that. And if they do that, and you just have something like a pop-up that shows up 30 seconds after they get on the site, or 15 seconds maybe, if that's the attention span. Come sing with us, and boom, they hit it, and then it says, we'd love to know who you are. Send us your info, and we'll be sure to reach out to you. And they've engaged, they want to sing, but I think that messaging is actually very good. And I don't know if there's a more palpable way that you can tie in the sports of the area. I don't know all the specifics of what makes Massachusetts sports. I know the teams, but I don't know anything about the Bruins because
Patriots, Bruins, Celtics.
Yeah, I know who the teams are, but I don't know. I don't know who. I don't know what makes you love them, and therefore why that would tie in. But I'm sure there's some way you could work that in. Real men watch sports, and then men like us love to watch sports and also get together and sing. Come join us.
Good
Something
point.
like that.
A good point, Kyle. Jesse flagged me clearly to say that the real men thing is probably inappropriate today, and so we use that tag in a in the Worcester Bravehearts. It was a poster that we used in the stadium for a collegiate baseball team. It didn't get us anywhere either. So Jesse, maybe you're right. But point well taken. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I think it's I think there's definitely a tendency to not always think of that particular like to be a real man, you have to fit inside this particular kind of thing, and that may not be potentially attractive to minorities either. Obviously, people in the LGBT community are minorities in a different way, but if you're supposed to be a real man, I don't know how many people of color that I know that would go, oh, that sounds like something white people would say, and I don't want to probably encourage that for the same reason, because you might exclude more people than you realize. But the idea of, we're men and we love to watch sports. We also love to get together and sing. That kind of has a little bit of a different vibe to it. But men watching sports might be in the same category as being real men in some ways. So that might be something that you might have to work through with your team of people, or maybe on a on a call like this where we all talk about it and we can try and think of every perspective. But I definitely think there's something you can work in to make it to work with everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, no matter who you are, we welcome you to sing with us. That's a great inclusion statement, to know that I belong to. So you want to engage everybody and make sure they know they're welcome. So I think that's great. I think I got to every question that was on the chat. Is there anything else that anybody wants to discuss before we just all look at some? And what I'd like to do is look through each one of these sites and just have an open dialogue. What do you see? And we'll just talk about that.
Yeah, why don't we head it? Let's get going with that.
All right, cool. So I have a whole bunch of stuff here. Let's start with the vocal majority. All right, what do we see here? And how does it compare to the stuff we've talked about so far? Just going to scroll through, and feel free to just jump in wherever you'd like.
I like that idea of using a video as the kind of the main thing you see on the first page. Instead of, it used to be for a while, everybody was doing one of those animated headers. What were they called? Rotators, I think, or something.
Oh, carousels or sliders?
Yeah, kind of. But maybe the link to your YouTube channel is a better idea.
I agree with Ron. I think that, again, if we're going to focus on the music, let's put the music there,
Yep.
Make it front and center.
Absolutely.
And with the option to play it, that takes away from the autoplay.
Right.
Somebody sees that little white arrow there, that little pointer, they're not going to click on it if they're in a quiet area, and it might be offensive or inappropriate.
Or they'll put their headphones on, David, and they do that too. But I agree that you have to assume some level of knowledge of how to use a web page. I mean, if somebody has no knowledge at all, it's very, very difficult to design for that population.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if people don't really have that level of knowledge, then they're likely not going to be engaged in the first place.
I agree.
So that's kind of an outlier.
I was going to say that the font gets very, very small as you're scrolling down the screen. I find it very hard to read.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that.
Yeah, and another issue is, again, we're looking at these on a desktop, and it's important to keep in mind that it about 2 years ago, I read an article that said that now more people look at websites on mobile devices than on desktops.
It's probably true, and I have a way to look at that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
first thing I noticed is what's in the top here. Vocal majority, pure harm. I'm sure that's supposed to say harmony because I'm a barbershopper.
Yeah.
But if I didn't know that, I would go, what in the heck did I just click on? What is this? So that would be that would be one of the first things I would look at. So we'll look at each one of these in mobile mode as well. So let's leave that out. Looks like the Secret of Christmas and 12 is kind of cut off there, so they need to fix that image. The rest of this is not too bad. It's awfully wordy. You know, they put in a lot of stuff. Support the virtual show. I wish they would have put that higher, so that way I could click on it earlier. Or just have less stuff before I get to it in the first place. So there's the Vocal Majority website. It's decent, but there's definitely some things I would like to improve. I definitely like the video. That's something that I go, okay, I might want to listen to this. Look at all those people up there together. That's a lot of people. I bet this sounds good, right? Any other thoughts on this site? I got a whole bunch of them to go through. All right, cool. Next, Sound of the Rockies. Sorry.
Very few imperatives.
Very few imperatives. Tickets and shows, right? Shop and support. It's like you get half credit for that. Join us. That one works. About us. It's not really an imperative thing anyway. See and hear, that's a half credit. Tickets and shows is not. Sponsor, not sponsor us. It's not a command. Contact us. Course login, orders, right?
Yeah, I guess that's
looks like they have a slider up here, and it looks pretty decent. The background's pretty nice. Learn more. Each one of those is a more imperative statement. But someone was saying something.
No, I take my comment back.
Okay. Yeah, I find it interesting that they have book us, join us, support us, tickets. Buy tickets. I would suggest that. It looks like they have some blog posts here. Looks like they have 10 of them. That's probably their limit. We need your help. Fuel the engine that runs us. Support Youth in Harmony. Support us. All right. Sing with us. Join us. I might put this before the news. But overall, I think this is pretty decent. Maybe I might cut this down to 6 for the news and have them see all of it because they have the blog already linked here. And I'd probably put visit our blog at the bottom as well. All right, let's do Midtown next. All right, so what do we see here? All right, so we'll start up here. We got 9 items plus the home logo. All right, so that's a little long, but that's not terrible. But they could probably pare that down or combine some of those things. Our Halloween EP is here. Click here to order. I would probably put our Halloween EP is here as a title above it, and click here to order would be the call to action. Already have a download code? Click here. It's okay. I might put that not as a button, but just as a link underneath. Videos here. That's cool. Audio underneath it. That's also cool. Some social media. Like it. This is a little dead space. I like the idea that they have these testimonials. That's a good idea, but I wish there was some more around it, or maybe, you know, a picture of the LDJ logo and the BHS logo, or Theo's picture, or Tim's picture. This is all cool stuff. This is a little thing. I think the show schedule is a little long, and it's also outdated since all these things have been canceled. And it's not obvious what year it is, so I would definitely have that up there, because I think some of this stuff is still happening for next year. Yeah, like this stuff. This is for 2021, but it doesn't make that obvious. So overall, I think that's all right. Rooftop records. All right, book rooftop now, active, like it. This home is really hard to read when it's highlighted against the green here. Rooftop gear, I would say get rooftop gear, but it's obvious what they want us to look at. Rooftop gear, order and download, watch videos, right from the beginning. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to look at this in mobile mode as well. So in this mode, the header looks good, but rooftop gear is cut off. It's like a harm for the VM. Watch, so that's cut off as well. Shout it from the rooftop, that's cut off. So it just looks like they need to go through, and we can only see two guys. This is one of the toughest things for Quartet whenever somebody's asking me to work with it, is how do I get nice big images of quartets where I don't cut off the two end guys, and it's almost impossible because otherwise they need to be really tiny. But anyway, that's another issue, and then their footer's cut off, so that's not great for that. I'm seeing you guys talking about the review websites of the people attending. I can do that. Anybody who wants their website gone through, I'm happy to give comments. Go ahead and just put them in the chat, and I'll pull it up and we'll look at it. But for now, I'm just trying to look at some of these other things. So what I didn't want to do was just pull up websites without people giving me the go ahead to do so, and just getting into any of that. I wanted to make sure I had permission first. So if you want me to look at one of your websites, please feel free to just put it in the chat. New Voice Studio. All right, so this is 3 items in the top, very easy to figure out what it is. Here's who I am, and here's who I am in the background. This is Kim. Track library, view library, listen. Okay, it's nice. Quick bio, contact page. So I think that in this case, the bio works okay on this page, on the front page, because there's so little to look at, and there are only 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. So that's a very easy homepage to digest. Let's look at this on mobile as well. Don't want to forget that. All right, so it looks like we got menu like that. Okay, that's nice. Same idea. It all works pretty much the same. Here's Kim. Here's her bio. Contact page. And there we go. So I think that one's pretty darn good. Let's look at Temtrax. I'm sorry. Did anybody have any thoughts about Kim's website? I didn't. I just kind of talked through it. Any thoughts on this? All right, I'll move on to Temtrax. What do you see on Temtrax site?
It hasn't changed in 10 years.
This is a little bit of an outdated design. And I don't know how long ago he did tribute, but I don't think that's I don't think that's super recent, so he probably needs to update that.
Doesn't say what he does.
Yep. Well, and I don't think he's necessarily pulling in the business because of the website design. So
No.
he can kind of get away with it. Looks like the Adobe Flash Player is blocked. We haven't, Adobe Flash Player has not been something that has been really depended on since HTML5 came out in like 2013. So that was slowly getting phased out. So this has probably been, oh yeah, it hasn't been updated in 10 years. Footer says 2010.
There are a couple chapters, a couple people on chat that would like to have you comment on their websites.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Gentlemen Songsters. Let's look at that. All righty. Okay, so you've got a nice aura around it as you go, as you hover over this. I mean, all right, cool. So the sun, barbershop harmonies prevailing pandemic. All right, that's cool. It looks like a news article, and that's great. I think I would like maybe to take all these things. So you've got a lot of room on the left and right, especially on the desktop, to say we're a virtual chorus during the pandemic. We say watch us, and then you show the video. So maybe like the title on the left and the other thing on the right. I like the idea of these hovers here. Here we are in the news. Excuse me. Here we are in the news. All right, and that looks like it's related to this maybe. Another news story.
Done in just in CSS.
I'm sorry.
That halo effect is done in CSS.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, Ron, it's done in CSS. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then a couple other items here. I think that there's a lot of colors going on here, and I might soften the color palette a little bit because we've got this this tan, and then the green and the red, and then the hover of blue. So what I do honestly when I look for color palettes is I look on Pinterest. You can just put in web color palette ideas in Pinterest, and it'll come with a lot of good ideas. And actually on Kim's website, when she was looking through that, she found that on Pinterest. The purple and green and blue, and it all kind of goes together like that. So what they'll do is basically they'll just pick a scene in nature, usually a flower or something like that, and go, okay, these colors all work together because it occurs in nature like this. And so that might be something, because I think this background can work, but I think that the green is fine, and maybe having some other colors for the links that would be more in line with the green, or maybe a little less, a little more toward black, white, gray, bring down saturation. On maybe the green is the link, and the rest of it is more of a dark gray or something like that. So that way you pull out that stuff, because this is obviously very obvious where the links are, but I might just tone down the color palette just a little bit. So yeah, there's a lot of videos, it looks like here. I would like to see maybe some more categorization of that stuff. Maybe a listen to us column, and then see us in the news column. Also enjoy You'll Never Walk Alone by Barbershop Friends and Book Revolution. Okay, that's cool. I might show their link, their logo as well. Amazon Smile. This is how we get money, right? So this might even go higher, in my opinion, to go support us we're a virtual course during the pandemic. One way you can support us is by using Amazon Smile and have a little write up there. I might put that a little bit higher. So up here, do the ongoing to join our virtual chapter meetings. Please contact chapter secretary, Jesse Hines. I think that opened up my email over here. Shoot. Yeah. So what I'd ideally like to see is, do you have a contact form on this website anywhere?
No, we don't.
I'd ideally like to see, I'm sorry?
No.
Okay. I would suggest building one of those and then taking them to, please contact us for the Zoom details, and lead them to a contact form. And then, just have them fill out name, email, and any additional info that they may or may not want to put in there. Just name, email, content, send an email. And then that's it, we'll get right back to you. You're also welcome to view recordings, access resources. Okay, that's great, like that. So we're down here. Here's who we are. I might put this a little bit higher. I think this is a good intro for who we are and what we do. So that's good. I think leaving this at the bottom is probably great. Please click here to learn more. I'd probably make that a button that just says learn more. But other than that, I think this is great. I like this this scrolling section as well. Is there any other particular page you want me to look at on this site?
No, I mean, given time, I think you should look at some of the others. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, you bet. All right, so let's. I don't dare ask how to review the NED site. Oh well, I'm happy to give feedback to whatever people want, and if they don't, then that's also fine. So is this Worcester? Is that how you said it?
Worcester.
Worcester.
Worcester. Okay.
Wooster.
Yeah, Worcester. Got it.
No, that's Worcester, Ohio.
It's Worcester. Yeah, it's Worcester. There's a little tiny R in it. Worcester.
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 Okay, got it.
And you have to drop the R.
On the end.
Worcester in England too.
Really tiny.
I'm never going to get that sauce again. Okay. Anyway. Worcester. All right. Anyway, so as I look through this, I like this top picture. This is a great top picture. I like the logo up here. I might see if you can incorporate the logo in the upper left here with the top. I like the color combo of the header, and this all looks great. Here's who we are. Thanks for visiting. Take a minute to learn more. I would see, let's see, what's the best way? So maybe here I would just go, our newest honorary lifetime member, C. Mike Rowe, and just make that the whole top section here, and then listen to our theme song, and then have the player. I would probably see if I can, does this play in the, okay, cool. I like that, because obviously it says you can pop out and play it by itself, and that's great. But I'm glad this also plays directly from the page. I'd make that bigger. I probably wouldn't put this gray box around it if you can help it, but that may come that way. It's a plugin. So rather than the two columns, either that or have the two columns just be Mike Rowe, and then the right column be listen to our theme song. Done. Then we're the Worcester Men of Song chorus.
Great.
Thanks for visiting. And then I'm trying to get better. I think this is all good at the bottom. I'd like to see a footer as well on this site. It looks like, even something that just says copyright this and whoever worked on it. It's just kind of a standard item, but I think generally this is nice. I think that the blue should probably be, I love this color down here. And I would probably incorporate that everywhere else, and then just make the links highlighted that way. Because I know that it's underlined and that helps, but I'd like to see this be a little bit more obvious. But generally, yeah, I think this is nice. Anything else on this particular site that you want me to look at?
No, that's fine. Thank you very much.
You bet. You bet.
Kyle, we're coming up on 8:30. If you want to go over, that's fine. It's your call.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll look at these last couple here.
Okay.
So Racing City is next. Did I say that right? Figure that one's a little easier. All right. So it looks like this uses a lot of gradients. For those that aren't familiar with gradients, they're basically just transition colors, as I always say. So it gives it a 3D look. That was really the gradients like that, we have it here where it's going from a lighter or a sort of dark gray to a black in the header here. And then over here on the left as well. Those are a little bit out as of the last 3 years or so. They're not, they don't make it look all that dated, but sometimes you might consider just making this look flat. So, oh, that's another thing on this mobile version. It doesn't have that built in already. And this is one where you'd have to zoom in. You have to pinch and zoom on your mobile device to be able to see what you want to see. So that'd be something I would also consider, just to basically have this stuff show automatically without having to zoom in.
Kyle, I can also say we're also moving to a new server, so we're going to try to modernize it. But we do know that for the most part, our website doesn't get much traffic, and it's been used mostly for internal purposes, like songs and things like that, trying to get tracks and things like that. But we'd like to modernize it a little bit.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
Okay. Yeah, but I think generally, let me go back to non-mobile version here. I think generally the color theme works pretty great. This is important information. This obviously needs to be put out there. Maybe I might put that as a red background, not as bold red as this, but a red background to make it even a little bit more obvious for something like that. But if I look at the rest of it, okay, welcome to what this is. I might not put the word website. I might just leave that off. Wanted men of good character that love to sing. Great, that's perfect. So that tells me who we are. Racing City Chorus, men of good character who love to sing. So you put what you want and what you do all in the same statement. I think that's great. So this is a quick description on what's going on. I like that. Here's where you can find us. I like that. Contact us. This looks like an image. There's a lot of great CSS you can use to and if you're going to build a new website anyway, I would definitely try and lean on the Bootstrap framework. For those who are interested in such a thing, Bootstrap is just basically a way of organizing your HTML, so that way it automatically can make columns for you that also work. The columns will just turn into different rows when you get smaller on mobile. So that takes care of some of that stuff for you. And I use Bootstrap on everything that I can. So I would definitely suggest that. I think that these things at the bottom, these are all good items. I like them more. I would probably change that to see more or learn more. Click here is good. But I would probably make it title, subtitle, call to action for each one of these. Then I would give a little bit more space above these titles here. You've got some good space from that to the next subtitle area. And I would try and just equalize that on the top as well. And then you have this little fun information. I think that's great. And a lot of good information on the top. So yeah, I think this is pretty good as well. Let me see if I have any other websites.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. We have a Facebook page. social media is something that I'm decent at, but I don't spend my time doing that, because obviously the big thing that you're going to get from Facebook is keeping people engaged with the content that you're putting out. So whenever you can, if you have a Facebook page and a website, have all the things that you can go back to your website. So that'll increase engagement for people visiting your website in the first place. So you've got an importance, we're not meeting. Okay, that's good. We've got an event, that's good. And a lot of what builds successful social media presence is having a lot of content. So one thing that our course started doing, and I'm much more of a journeyman when it comes to social media, but a lot of one of the things that we started doing was having a little interview of our members, and just even if it was just read about so-and-so. He's been a member of our chapter for 22 years, and he's sung lead, and he's a pharmacist, and you just just a couple things to build their interest, and then show the whole interview, whether it's a video or whether it's just text and a picture and some info about them. Just see what you can come up with that makes you have content regularly, because if you just wait to have a show or a guest night to try and engage people on social media, then you're not going to build that following in the same way. So I would definitely try and think of what comes up regularly that you can have multiple posts on, because you're going to build a following by being relevant and being in people's news feeds. But I think generally this is all good stuff. I would just like to see a little bit more of it, mostly. Any other questions on the Facebook page? All right, cool, thanks. Let's see, I don't know.
Right, Kyle, I have a question on the basics of design. You mentioned throughout the course of your presentation a number of terms that relate to the actual physical design of the web page. Do you have kind of an overview of some of the suggestions as to, you mentioned Bootstrap, you mentioned WordPress, and things like that? Is there some a basic outline of what a neophyte like myself might want to look at, or am I getting into something that's way above my pay grade?
If you have a background in HTML, to where you look at a div and span, and that is something that you're comfortable with, then I'm sure we could find some CSS information, which basically you take HTML, you add a class or an ID to it, and then you can modify it with that stuff. For those that don't know what CSS is off the top of their head, if a span and a div or an H1 tag makes you go, I don't know what that is, and I don't know that I care to know, then some of that stuff's going to be a little more difficult. So I'm happy to, again, if you want to talk about some of those specifics. I know that oh shoot, who was it who I was talking to earlier? I don't know if he's on anymore. But I'm happy to talk any of those specifics. I like I said, I use Bootstrap. That basically is just a prepackaged set of CSS classes that you can set up to make sliders and grids and all kinds of fun stuff. But some of the other spacing, the easiest ones will basically make what's called a Wysiwyg editor, which is short for what you see is what you get. And basically it's like a less capable Word document, but you can get a lot of that kind of stuff, and you can make text bigger and change colors and do all that kind of thing. And if you have problems with spacing, then you might be able to return it again and just get some more spacing below some of those pictures or something like that. So that's part of what I'm talking about. And some of the CSS stuff is, I mean, when I do what I do for a living, I basically lean on that stuff a lot. But what we can all do is definitely work on what content's too wordy, and things such as that, and making sure that the story is presented, or treasure map, for another way to look at it. So I don't know if I danced around it or if I answered your question, but
So
does that help?
Can I just add to that, because there are a few people here on this conference who, you know, are I'm not a programmer. I know how to manipulate CSS and manipulate HTML, you know, for our website, or for old websites.
Sure.
What I recommend for a lot of people is to take a look at some of these editors that are hosts as well as editors. And so let me just say, you know, and this is not a plug, this is not selfish at all, but, you know, the NED website, the Keen Cheshireman website are both Squarespace sites. So that is hosted, and you fully edit everything in those platforms. So you build an account. In the case of Squarespace, if you're familiar with it, you can pick any number of 2 or 3 dozen templates. And what the templates do is forces you, first of all, to not go crazy with a lot of customizing and colors and all kinds of stuff. It forces you to have a site that's very consistent. It is, I find it very often very limiting. And so then I have to use custom scripts and what have you to actually get what I want. But you don't have to. And what's the key here is that it's actually very simple to work with. It actually takes your images and automatically sizes them. It automatically gives you a rendering at different, from different mobile devices. It does everything you need to do to build a robust and successful website for a very small amount of money. And so I will throw that out there, because WordPress is also another one of those sites. Now, WordPress got its beginning as a blog site, but now it does full-blown websites. You can create anything you want and be pretty powerful. The same with Squarespace. Very different styles. There are people like I learned on Windows, I hate Apple. I learned on Squarespace, I hate WordPress. That's just the way it goes. What you learn on ends up being the most familiar and the easiest to work with. And you figure out how to get a couple of the customized things that you really want to show. For example, good example for me, I'm a graphic designer. I work a lot in print. My stuff tends to look more like documents and print stuff. But you know, I ran into a couple of situations. I also do a lot of accounting and analytical work. And so I'm using, I love spreadsheets. And so the scoop here is that what I can't do on a Squarespace site, and I don't think you could do this on WordPress either, but Kyle, you can correct me, is do a really decent grid or spreadsheet in a block on one of these sites, and it drives me crazy. Now, the workaround is to import code, and I create it somewhere else, and I import the whole kit and caboodle into a block, and it does exactly what I want it to do. So there are workarounds for some of the things that you think might be limiting in some of these sites, but what's nice about them is that it forces you to be consistent, to not go crazy with certain display characteristics that might distract or pull people away from your website. So I wanted to throw that out there because I think a number of people here would find something like Squarespace. And again, you could also do it where, I mean, you can rattle these off, Kyle, for me, but GoDaddy has their own website builder. Well, Google has their own website builder. So there are a lot of different website builders that you could work into. Sorry, go ahead.
I just said one of the ones we looked at tonight from NED's of Google site. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I haven't used Squarespace. I've only touched on Weebly, and yeah, most of what I've done is more development and less design. So I need to be able to dig into the guts a little bit more.
The whole
And I know
palette of tools has got to be there for you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's why I lean toward WordPress. And you know, you can do a lot on WordPress to talk about what you were saying. You can do a lot on WordPress with the built-in plugins, but also you can implement some of that directly into a child theme. And that's most of what I do, is to get specific PHP code in there. And I'm sure there's somebody has that same need to basically, what it sounds like, you have Excel file kind of stuff that you want to build in, right?
Well, you know, to satisfy contest and judging. You know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, it gets to be a little crazy, and so yeah, that's what basically ends up happening. I create whatever and then export the code.
Yep, I understand that.
I think we better close things up. Kyle, any closing remarks?
Jesse had a question of I'm gun shy of all inclusive platforms that put significant restrictions on those of us who know how to program, and that's what Squarespace and Weebly are going to do. They're definitely going to have those restrictions. So that's why I use WordPress. There's of course hundreds of different platforms out there. I like using WordPress because you can make a child theme, and basically all the work you have underneath the main theme is protected against upgrades and things like that. So I would definitely suggest that. And if you have any questions on that, feel free to ask me any of those, and I'd be happy to help you out there. I don't think I can think of any ensemble in the world that needs more capability than what WordPress gives you. So basically it's the Squarespace Weebly model or Google Sites or WordPress to do most anything that you're going to need. But other ideas, okay, I think we're good on the chat. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any particular thing, but I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have afterward. Obviously, those of you that signed up for the class, David had, I think everyone else was BCC'd, but he had my email in there. I'm always open to answer any of your questions. Like I said, there are a couple that are a little bit out of the scope of what we did tonight, but I'm going to get back to you individually in the next couple days. But other than that, I'm always happy to talk about whatever you'd like, and happy to give a review if you've built something and you want me to just, give some ideas on what I'm seeing. And other than that, I'm happy to be here, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Kyle. It's been a great session. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I think a number of people on the call learned a lot. And thank you, everyone, for attending. This is our final class for our online Leadership Academy for this year. Again, thank you, Kyle, for your time and your effort, and for doing your homework and developing your slide presentation. I will be, he's going to be sending that along to me, and I'll be putting that out tomorrow when I send out the Zoom link for the recording. Again, tonight, shortly after we're done here, I'll send out a survey to all of the participants tonight, and I would appreciate if you would answer the 5 questions and make some comments. It helps us in our plans for our next Leadership Academy, which I think will be online. And we're probably looking at January, February of 2022. So I really appreciate everyone taking the time to attend, and thank you for hanging on for a little while longer. And again, thank you, Kyle, and to all of you. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So safe travels, and watch out, it's dark outside. Talk to you later, everybody.
Everybody, I put the link to the Google presentation in the chat as well. So
okay.
Grab that tonight, if you can.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Kyle, would you just stay on for a second? I have a couple more questions for you. Thank you, everyone.